I am business coach Roberto Munoz, and I want to talk about the hot topic of delegation. When I ask a group of managers, why is it so hard to delegate? The most common answer that I get is, I can do it quicker and better than anyone else, so I just do it myself. So let me get this straight. You are not delegating to your team because they are not good enough to do that job, but you are doing it yourself. So when are they going to learn? Let me suggest a different approach. The next time that someone escalates a problem to you, do not solve it for them. Do not tell them what they need to do. Instead, engage them in what I'm calling a navigational conversation. It is navigational because imagine that you have a map in front of you and you're going to determine the steps to get to your destination. And it is a conversation because you're going to engage them in a series of questions that are going to generate a discussion where the solution will come up from them with your guidance. So follow these simple steps. Step 1 is clarify. And clarify, ask them, where do you want to be? What is that goal that you want to pursue? What's it going to look like after you solve this problem? Also ask them, where are you now? What is your starting point? What is that perspective of the landscape from where you are standing? This separation between where they are now and where they want to be is what we call the gap. And this needs to be very clearly defined before moving on to step 2, brainstorming. In brainstorming, you want imagination and creativity to flow. Ask them, have you ever been involved in projects like these? What have you learned? Have you worked with someone else and what have you learned from them? What do you know so far about this? What approach would you take? If I were not here, what would you do? So at this point, you are not rejecting any ideas. You can either write post-its and paste them on the wall, or you could write these down on cards and put them on a table. And you want as many of them so that you can move to step 3, which is plan. So tell them, from everything that we have discussed, what would you say is step number 1 and step number 2? So put them in sequence towards the solution of this problem. Draw a timeline possibly. And from here, it's very easy to go to step 4, which is anticipate. Ask them, during the execution of this project, what problems are you going to encounter? Are you going to run into any obstacles or roadblocks? And how can we get ready so that when you're in front of them, you can solve them a little bit quicker? And it doesn't have to be necessarily problems or roadblocks. It could be additional resources. So they may need a budget to buy something, or they may need to be talking to someone else, either from the team or from outside. But the thing is, you want them to think of, during that execution, what are they going to be needing in those different steps so that they reach the final destination. The final step, number 5, is confirm. Ask them, in everything that we have discussed, repeat back to me in your own words, what is the final plan? What is that project that you're going to put together and that you're ready to execute? When both of you have that clarity and that final understanding, let them go and execute that project and let them know that you're going to be available to them. Just like you were now to help them solve any obstacles, let them know that they can come back to you if they run into any problems. So this is going to take a little longer than you solving the problem yourself, but you are developing the critical thinking skills of the people in your team. You want them to be able to think more independently, weigh pros and cons, and figure out answers on their own. Eventually, what you want to happen is that when they run into problems, they think about possible solutions, they weigh the options, and they come to you and say, hey, this is the problem I'm facing, these are the alternatives, and I suggest that we choose this one because of ABC, whatever that is. And then you can say, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, let's go back and rethink this one a little bit more. So this is how you develop the skills in your team so that you can delegate better to them and they are better equipped to do those projects that you have to delegate so that you can go focus on something bigger and better. This is how you have a navigational conversation.